Okay, starting the show. Hello, welcome to Roast Mortem, the new and improved Roast Mortem, the award-winning Roast Mortem. I am Tom.
I'm Travis.
And I am your Cody for the evening.
And Mike didn't make it because I fired him.
Oh, Mike is Carmen Sandiego's dad. Oh, bye. Where are you? That's how Carmen Sandiego's adventure started. Was she was looking for her father that went for a pack of
It's not me you should be worried about. It's my father.
True?
He gave me this red coat.
How's everyone doing?
Good.
Guys? How's your week?
Good. I'm back. Feels good.
Oh yeah, Cody was a mystery man last week.
Yeah. You guys ambiguously explained my absence so ambiguously, I had fans DMing me making sure I was fucking okay. So thank you. Thank you for putting anxiety everywhere.
We'll put it all out there for all the listeners. We had Dave from Not for Human Consumption do your job for you because you were being lousy and far.
I'm sorry. I was on a different island than I usually am and away from my microphone. But I'm
Wait,
back.
where's Dave? He's supposed to be here.
For Mike?
Cody, why are you on the line?
Yeah, Dave's filling in for Mike.
No, Mike just canceled the last minute because he was kick-flipping over in Comac or something, and I did not want to press Dave last minute like that again.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Dave's a good guy.
So how you do? What Cody? What's happening? What are you doing? You're in a new island?
No, I'm on the same island. I was visiting me mum. I was visiting my mom. It was originally supposed to be for like fucking just a week.
Oh,
but I
the local dialect, local dialect, me mum out there in
mum. Yeah, I was visiting me mum. I was supposed to visit for a week, but I dinged up her pickup truck, and I felt like I'd be a big ol' asshole if I dented and ran. So I hung out while nothing else happened to it.
Well, what a surprise! The wrench thrown into Roast Mortem was because an Asian couldn't drive.
It was just, it was the parking. There was a fucking retaining wall there.
Part of driving, Cody.
All I hear is ni hao ma over there.
I wasn't gonna go that far.
That hot racism up top.
Yeah, just let's start it off.
Yeah.
Cheery racism.
Tom, what about you? Ni hao ma.
Ni hao ma to you too, Travis. What did I do this week? I've been spreading myself thin, working the podcast, making sure to get some sun, working out, getting diarrhea, eating too much salad almost every day.
All important things.
Hard-boiled eggs every
Tom,
morning. That's my life.
What are you doing?
You have to send me pictures of the salad or of the post salad.
Yes.
No.
The bowl salad. Like, is it coming out in logs anymore, or is it just like shotgun
It's
pellets?
evening logs and morning spray.
Okay.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah. And it's fine.
You'd make a cabin with that, probably.
All very soft. Not having any problems with the draining, the plumbing. That's all fine. I know that's where our listeners would go because shitting irresponsibly, it's something that all responsible people have to deal with.
Be courteous.
Would have had to call the ghost hunters on you because they're plumbers.
Yeah.
Roto-Rooter, right? Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And if I could speak on behalf of Mike, he had a pretty good week too, but his car's in the shop.
See, how can you explain how Mike is and what he's doing, but with Cody, you're just like, oh, he did a naughty, or he can't get out of his fucking hammock. It's like we let the fucking people at home know Mike's safe and okay and doesn't need any bail money.
There's more adventure
Cody's
to that.
Just like, yeah, Cody's just like, oh, fuck, I don't know. Maybe he's a torso in a gutter right now.
Cody, you've got that Asian mysteriousness. You have to, you could have been in Shanghai creating a new identity.
Or just home.
Yeah, or just in a hammock.
Yeah. Bastards.
Travis, I rarely ask this question. What'd you eat this morning?
Hey.
What did I eat this morning? I had a breakfast sandwich. It was great.
There you go.
But my week, thanks,
We didn't
Tom.
ask about that.
My week was pretty darn good. I'm also firing on all pistons and all angles because I'm moving right now. I've got a lot of work and I'm doing a podcast. But I got a little bit of time to go on a little Oregon safari, and it was a lot of fun.
What? Explain yourself.
I drove up to Crater Lake, which is the deepest lake in North America. It's the top of a volcano.
Wow. Okay.
Fucking and high. It's like really high up there. It's like 7,000 feet.
At that high lake.
Yeah, and then I also went to the last Blockbusters, which was awesome.
Did you
Run
rent
that by
anything?
me. Yeah.
No, because I didn't have a car and I don't want to sign up. But it was actually
What
kind
are
of.
they gonna
Fair
do?
I bought us some shirts and shit, but it was kind of weird being in there because it's like COVID times, and there's like families that legitimately use this place for like to rent their movies.
Jesus.
And I'm just in there like, oh my God, I remember when I got a movie when I was little.
Yeah, remember when my life was less convenient? It was just like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my week.
That's cool. Blockbuster, High Lake, Deep Bottom.
Yeah.
Did you get to the bottom?
Bottom High Lake.
No, they don't let you swim in it. I tried to.
They don't let you swim the Blockbuster?
State Department. Yeah, I tried to swim. I brought kiddie pool into Blockbusters, filled up with butter flavor topping.
Oh, no.
Pretty gross.
Swam around.
That might be fatal.
Nah, I'm here.
Okay.
A mouthful of Raisinets to make sure you won't go hungry. Sounds like a good time. Well, anyway, we have a long episode tonight because that's what you told me before we were rolling. So we should do it.
Yeah.
Travis, who is on the chopping block tonight, sir?
What? You guys don't know how to do this? Supposed to ask me the thing. Thanks, Cody.
You're welcome.
Dude,
You're in a dojo right now.
my feng shui is all off. I have no rhythm right now. We didn't do it last week. Mike's not here. Got diarrhea. I need your help. Both of your help.
So the listeners already know who we're doing, and you guys already know who we're doing. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. How much do you know about America?
10.
How do I follow that? I know 1776 about America.
I know 69 about America. But we're going to take everything you knew about America and flip it on its dick this episode.
That sounds painful. I like it.
Yeah. Even the holiday that we just celebrated a couple weeks ago, not even the right date, you dummies.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. I better return those hot dogs then.
The ones you already ate.
Yeah. Well, I still have
Get them up. So tonight we are roasting Samuel Adams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
I should have told you guys to. I should have told you guys to pick up that piss that they call ale. Sam Adams ale.
It's Boston Lager, and so they make an ale. It's not bad, and
it's piss.
Travis's fucking English is coming out.
Yeah.
It's garbage.
Not terrible. I've had a lot worse beers.
I drink it.
All right. Well,
I wouldn't reach for it at the convenience store, but I would drink it if it was like some of the last things at the party before I get into the ammonia.
There's so that's pretty much all you guys know about Sam Adams, right? Just a beer.
Chilling in Boston.
Yeah, chilling in Boston.
He was either a tavern owner or a tavern keep, I assume.
See, everything you know about Sam Adams is not really the case. Sam Adams was a very mysterious figure in the Revolution. And he doesn't quite have the same fame as old Donkey Teeth George or Swivel Chair Tommy J, or even his second cousin, John Adams, second cousin and second U.S. president.
Look at
as well.
that. Names.
But we...
This is a great start.
But we all know... Yeah, but we all know about Sam. We know about the name Sam Adams. We don't know really much about him. And I think we're entering a little bit of conspiracy territory here, Tom. So maybe we can call upon an expert. Right here.
Shit.
I'll do my best. I'm going to have to mask my voice so people don't know it's me.
Sam Adams and 5G.
Yeah.
Goes way deep.
Sam famously burnt almost all of his letters and memoirs. Was he covering something up about the revolution?
Of course. That's why you do that.
Let's find out.
All right, cool. Well, I mean, I don't blame him. I burnt all my homework before I handed it in.
You just coughed ashes onto your teacher's desk and moonwalked away.
Do your parents smoke, Tom? I'm 8.
That was pretty much my answer to all of my math tests.
8?
I'm 8. Find X.
Yeah, even in high school, it's like trigonometry. And Travis is like, I'm 8.
Yeah, they put me in pre-calc. That was hilarious. So Sam Adams was born to Sam Adams
No, I hate it already.
in Boston, Massachusetts in 1722. The Adams family.
Ha 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 ha.
Ha! That's a goth show without before goths. The Adams family were hardcore Puritans, the old pilgrim style of Christianity, the ones that burnt witches and were afraid to jerk off because Satan might bust on them and
It's
take a picture.
constant threat.
Yeah.
Yeah. The particular denomination they were Congregationalists, which is the same as Henry Beecher. So if you want to learn more about Congregationalists, you go listen to Henry Beecher.
I'll write that down. What is that on Roast Mortem, the show?
It's on Ancient Aliens Mortem.
Oh, I watched that one already.
So Sam Adams Sr. was the deacon of his church, took religion and education very seriously with his familia, as they would say, south of the border.
Yeah.
In Boston. South of the border, Boston border wall.
Keep going.
Yeah, don't stop. Don't stop yet.
When Papa Adams was not going to church, he was praying about all of his skin sinning,
Skinson.
he's just like doing these prayers. And then when he wasn't like touching his flute and making sins, he was running a brewery that supplies many of the Boston drink tanks.
All right. Not a bar or a tavern, but perhaps a brewery.
Yes. Thus is where the whole Sam Adams beer comes from. It's not the same family, but they believe the brewery is in Boston. Sammy Adams Senior.
You ever go to that place, McSorley's in the city? They have two types of beers. It's the light and the dark one.
I love that place.
Yeah, me too.
And they also serve like liverwurst sandwiches.
They do,
That's
and
cool.
sawdust.
Yeah.
Is that complimentary?
No, no.
Cheap, though.
Mm.
You wouldn't
Premium.
notice it.
Oh, okay.
So taverns and pubs were an important part of pre-revolution life in America. Think of it like the English pub. It's a place to get drunk, finger bang someone in the bathroom. You could hang out, forget about your wife and the brat kids.
Of course.
Old timey.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even have kids, and like every time I'm in a tavern, I'm just like, this is great. No kids, double no kids for me today.
So that said, there were a lot of taverns in Boston, and the Adams family was pretty well off. I mean, all that beer making made Sammy Jr., Sam Adams, the Sam Adams we're talking about.
Right.
He was one of those kids that would kind of show up in senior year of high school in a Lexus and try to impress like motorheads about the luxurious interior complete with automatic anal douching features.
Right.
I've seen that.
But also not knowing anything about the car.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
absolutely.
All right, that's good.
All
That
right.
is good. That's good painting of pictures, Travis. You did it real nice
love
right
it.
there.
Thanks, Tom. Do I pass the SAT?
I'm not your teacher.
So we don't know much about Sam's youth. He went to something called a dame school when he was 6.
Weird.
And a dame school was just a less kraut way of saying kindergarten. So before the Germans came here, we'd say, "You're going to dame school, little Johnny."
We're going to turn you into a dame. Or rather, we're going to put you in a room with a bunch of dames.
Yeah,
Because that's
That
the
sounds
only
good.
thing they're good for. Making sure kids have milk.
when they're 6. Have you ever heard of someone doing like fucking breastfeeding like way too late?
Yeah, I have. I was homeschooled when I was younger. And for some reason, I think that like some of the kids that I homeschooled with, because like you're not always by yourself. Like once a week, they bring you to like a place to go play with other kids. This didn't last very
So
long.
you don't turn into a real weirdo.
Yeah, exactly. They want you to at least know how to say people's names and whatnot. I'm pretty sure a lot of those kids were like, I met them, shook hands as a 7-year-old with their own mouths on mom tit, and that was like normal. The moms were talking, the tits were just hanging out, and they're like, they're in the boob jungle.
Yeah. And you're just
Come
there
on,
eating
ladies.
Lunchables or something, right?
I was eating like pretty much what I'm eating today. I'm just eating oatmeal and hard-boiled eggs.
Just the comfort food.
Yeah.
Ladies, at some point, I know, it's your nipples. You guys like not let the kids do it anymore. It's important for
But
science.
the thing is, like, it's this weird, like, curve of acceptance. It's like when you're a kid, totally fine to suck on titties. You know what I mean? It's like 7, that's weird. But as soon as you get back into like maturity, 18, 19, be on all the titties you want, just not your mom's.
Yeah, definitely not your mom's.
Not your mom.
yeah. There's a big definite there. So anyway, after his dame school or kindergarten, he enrolled in the Boston Latin School, which was founded in 1635 and was America's first public school.
Wow, I'm just imagining like someone with a hardcore Boston accent like JFK just trying to do his best with Latin.
Dominos, Sorrente.
Chowder.
That's what Travis would say there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Domino's should make chowder. It's the only responsible thing to do. So he graduated from Latin school at 13 and then followed in his father's footsteps and went to Harvard.
Wow. Right there.
Harvard University. You might think, wow, 13 years old going to Harvard. This dude's a genius.
A genius.
But not really. That was kind of the normal age because most people would like eat rat poop pies and shit and die when they were like 40. So career life was kind of truncated back then.
So they just
like 13 coming of age. You can come on something, you're going to university.
You know how to
Harvard.
cook your own hay? You can go to school with the boys. And then later, you're a lawyer. Hello, 16-year-old lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like it.
Dude, I can't even imagine a 35-year-old lawyer now.
I know, right? There's a lawyer that we went, a great guy, but he has a nickname called his name Blackout. And now he's a lawyer. And I've seen this guy get dirty drunk, before he passed the bar and everything. Now he's a respectable lawyer, but he was like...
He was at the bar before he passed the bar.
I see Blackout every now and then.
He's still Blackout, and he's a lawyer.
But I'd hire
he's
him
like
if I got into
32
trouble. He knows his stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I remember I walked into a bar and he was on the floor, but he was seated on the floor. It's not like he fell. And I just see him there and I'm just like, oh, buddy, let me help you back up onto your bar stool. And I start picking him up. And like he turns into like the fucking liquid Terminator somehow. And he's just like, no! And like somehow like kung fu like evade grips me and then resumes drinking on the floor. And I was just like, wow, that guy's spry for a drink.
So just imagine that guy, but it's a 16-year-old, and he's been drinking since he was 7.
Amazing.
I love it.
Yeah. So college life back then was pretty strict. Every day the students had to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and say their prayers. Yeah, that's shitty.
What kind of prayers?
But there was plenty of time for shenanigans.
Oh.
Well, good old-fashioned shenanigans.
I fucking love hijinks.
Yeah, hijinks. There are many accounts of our founding fathers that we'll probably get into in a later episode of setting off fireworks in the dorms, spying on the lady titties. But for Sam Adams, he was a bit of a book nerd. He kind of just kept his head down. The only mark that he did get against him was that he was caught with a bottle of liquor in his dorm and was fined 5 shillings.
That's not that bad.
It's not that bad, but keep in mind he's like 15.
He's a party kid.
Well,
obviously that's going to set him in motion to hate authority and want to set up a new government.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything wrong. He just has something that should be illegal anyway.
It also is going to set him up for a lifelong drinking problem.
Well,
I don't think those exist. I think that's a figment of your imagination.
I mean, we just got done with a character called Blackout, but sure.
He doesn't have any problems.
Conspiracy starts now, Tom.
All right. I'm
so, during his time at Harvard, Sam developed a love. I'm talking about the conspiracy, talking about the drinking conspiracy, obviously. This conspiracy is not ready to start yet. We're going to get into that.
Right.
Damn. Okay.
All right. So during his time at Harvard, Sam developed a love for political philosophy. In particular, one guy named John Locke.
Oh, okay.
You might have heard of John Locke.
He's a good guy.
Locke. Locke was all about the natural rights of human beings. And in Sam's college notebook, right next to the classic S drawing and the a penis captain stabbing a penis whale with a penis
Yeah.
harpoon. Sam copied down a quote from Locke, and it's like right in his thing. It says, "It is the right of the people to withdraw their support from a government which fails to fulfill its trust. If this does not persuade the government to live up to its obligations, it is the right of the people to overthrow it."
Amen.
There you go. Easy
Yeah.
peasy.
Your government should do shit for you. If not, you should fucking get out of here.
If they're not doing shit, they should at least just not get in your way.
Yeah.
Stay over there.
Yeah.
So John Locke at the time, this was crazy shit. Like if you think about like the Anarchist Cookbook when we were kids, I mean that goes back to the 70s, I think, right? But I remember they talked a lot about it with Columbine and shit like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's on some watch list in libraries, but I think it was the 60s or 70s that book came out. Kind of interesting. I don't know, not very aptly named. It's more of a terrorist cookbook.
Yeah. That's what that is.
Well, John Locke was just that. I mean, these kids were reading it. John Locke was English, by the way.
Yes.
But he came out with these really radical ideas, and people were like, "Oh, wait, we don't have to like listen to the government."
Ron Paul.
No.
Yeah, Ron Paul. But I don't think at this point Sam didn't really hate the British yet. He probably started to have that kind of rebellious teen thing going on. But right around the time he was graduating, shit hit the fan with his family. And that's going to start where he's going to start being like, "I don't like the British no more."
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sam Adams Sr., we're going to go back a little bit while he's in college. Sam Adams Sr. started a private bank with the sole intention of printing money.
Okay.
Oh, this is like this crypto shit right here.
It's very crypto. So
Wow.
the thing is in 1739, Massachusetts was hit with a currency shortage, which is kind of a strange concept when you think about it. But this was the colonies, and they used British currency that was minted in Britain. And because there was so much commerce happening in Boston, there wasn't enough physical cash to go around.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a problem
like
that
a-
we would never face because we don't have to worry about it. We have PayPal.
And we have
Pass the
strippers,
house.
Yeah.
where you have endless singles. You need singles.
And we got Rick from Pawn Stars.
Yeah.
We know how much everything costs. We can just put it in assets.
Yeah. That's God bless Rick from Pawn Stars.
Yeah, I can exchange this $1,000 guitar to have $40 in cash
Good.
to work around the shortage. That is.
Yeah, of course. And you see that? Do you see that serial on that guitar? That means that it's worth $50. I'm giving you a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam Adams Sr. and his buds started printing this currency that they backed by land that they owned. So people would have something to exchange for their services that was backed by a physical thing.
That's weird. Land-based currency?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm sure the Native
So it's like-
Americans were not happy about that one.
No.
Yeah, they're like, what is this currency?
You gave us shells, you assholes.
Don't forget the smallpox blankets.
Yeah. At least do shells.
Yeah, so people really liked the Adams and his buddies for doing this because now they had money to buy straw fleshlights or whatever the hell they were buying back then.
It was straw fleshlights.
Yeah. But the royal governors found out, and they're like, "No way, dudes. The only thing that is traded in the British Empire, pound sterling, you idiot, has to have the king on it."
There you go.
This guy's a dick. You got to trade this dick.
Yeah. So they held Sam Sr. And his land bank liable to return all the money used in gold and silver.
Wait,
So it
what?
was like all that money that you put out there that's like in circulation, you have to pay us in gold for like those transactions.
That doesn't make any sense.
Wait, was it a taxation thing?
No, it was more like a litigation thing. Like they took him to court and
And
they're
they
like,
sued him for.
Issuing his own currency?
yeah.
That's really shitty.
But, all right. I mean, couldn't he have circumvented that by just be like, oh, these are land coupons, sire?
Yeah, but it's still, it doesn't have the king's face on it. You need to have the king's goatsy image
Okay, so
on
it's not,
your bill.
Well, what about if he just
Mhm.
put like crop circles on all the property of King George's face?
He'd be like, now I will have to build a giant tower to gaze upon the king.
Yeah. Let me look top down King while I'm riding that bitch.
So this seriously impacted the Sam Adams family wealth. And it was a debt that not only affected Sam Sr., but because the way things work, it rolled over to his son after he died. If anyone in your family has debt, you do not owe the government that.
You can't inherit.
You can't
debt.
inherit it. They will
Unless
try
you
to
do
get it
something
from you.
Yeah, unless you
They'll
do
try to
something
get it from
stupid, like sign a paper that says you're inheriting it.
It's actually pretty scary. I think there's like verbal agreements and stuff too.
Yeah.
But you can counter and be like, "Oh, I don't know who answered my phone that day. You spoke with an imposter." But
That's true. But
tomato, fuck it.
But anyway, back then that didn't exist. It was like your dad owes, you owe. So now Sam Adams Jr. had a reason to hate the establishment because they fucked over his family.
Yeah, stick it to the man.
Irregardless,
I hate you. I hate you so much.
yeah, that was bad. Travis.
irregardless, it was so impactful. Irregardless, his
Fuck
family was still rich, right? Still had
Stop
money.
saying
They
that
saw
word.
this brewery going on. Cody's still fuming about my
I am.
irregardless.
Don't do it.
Irregardless. Lake Erie.
No.
But now young Sam had his master's at Harvard. And he kind of did something weird. He refused to connect with the aristocracy. So this 5'6" rich kid that refused to wear powdered wigs, which was all the rage at the time, basically because it protected your hair from lice.
Oh.
He'd walk around in the same red coat every day, with stinky old coat with patches that he'd put on it, and he'd walk around from tavern to tavern, getting pissed and talking to like the common man.
I like it.
I know
So,
guys
yeah.
like that.
It's kind of like there's one guy I'm thinking of in particular that came from kind of a wealthy background, but then he pretended to be Jack Kerouac. It's like that,
Yeah.
like a Jack Kerouac.
All right, I see what you're saying.
Everyone has two coats, and he's just like, fuck the two coat system.
Yeah.
I only need one. And everyone's like, we all know you need one. You're not making much of a point.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you put on a wig? It protects your head from lice.
Because don't need it. It's like, we know you don't need it, but you might want it.
Yeah.
And you can afford it, so you might want it.
I feel like Sam Adams would definitely not be wearing a mask right now.
I was just about to say similar. Like, yeah, don't need. Good.
Well,
Don't need.
he'd also live in the middle of nowhere.
What, Boston?
Yeah. Yeah, he'd move.
Yes.
Boston's too fucking pretty now.
Jamaica
yeah.
Plain.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole thing about him connecting with the common man was like his big charm. He would listen to their problems, talk politics, and get blackout drunk with them.
He'd buy them beer. That's what the real charm was.
Yeah, the real charm, buying them beer.
Yeah, it works. It works on grown men. That is a type of charm that works on grown-ass men. Irrefutably.
Absolutely.
I can think of 5 or 6 guys who have sucked dick just because got bought too much beer. Not even because they needed it. Just got bought too much beer. Now they were sucking dick.
Wait, really?
Yeah. This
Oh,
happened.
man.
Yeah.
They just didn't want to be rude.
Well, they just
Yeah,
got
that's what I was going to
sauced.
say. That's not rude.
Right, but like we got 37 patrons that buy us beer on a monthly basis. What are you going to do to them?
Send me your dick in the mail, and I will get it sucked. I won't do it, but I will get it sucked.
You're going to outsource it to China?
Wait, but Tom, if they buy you 10 beers, you can't just leave. You at least give them a hand jibber or something.
No, I'm
Come on.
leaving.
At 10 beers?
Yeah,
give
'cause
them a
then
hand
I
jibber.
buy 'em a
That's
shot.
expensive.
I
At
spin
least
around.
feather some balls.
I spin around.
Yeah.
I buy him a shot. They didn't see it. Oh, I'm accepting beers all night. Okay. Charity. Bam! Give me some expensive whiskey that I can't pronounce so I can show this guy that I'm not going to suck his penis.
Fair enough.
All right, so beside all this chatting up the porn.
Wow.
Besides all this chatting up the porn and his dick sucked.
Gross.
Sam had to do something for a living. You know, he's got a master's degree, right?
Yeah, podcasts
So
haven't
here's-
been invented yet.
Yeah, here's where we see him go from one job to the next, failing along the way, like any spoiled rich kid. The guy just
Yeah.
couldn't hold down a job.
Okay. Makes sense.
So his first job out of college was with Thomas Cushing's counting house. Back when
How
you could
easy.
just count shit for
That
a
sounds
living.
easy. I could do that.
Anyone can count, really.
Yeah. How high do numbers go? Can't be forever.
It's like 12.
If you reach the top, you just start over and say you got one of the other batch. 20
Yeah.
and 20 and 20. How many is that? It's a bunch. You figure it out. I got the numbers. You add them together.
Sir,
Yeah,
I have
it's a counting
20,
house, not a
20,
multiplication
20.
Yeah.
You do your own multiplying. I will count
Yeah.
in batches of 20 or 15. That's about it.
So a counting house back then was like a modern accountant. They did bookkeeping, pretty much.
Got it.
And they also could count. You just hear outside the building a lot of people counting.
The cacophony of just
Not
numbers.
not a very interesting job, but it pays the bills. It was one of the best ways. Accountants always make money throughout history. You control the books, you make money.
Good point.
So Sam only lasted a few months there before he quit, saying he was far too interested in politics and drinking at the pub to be a good merchant.
Nice.
I like how you said like a few months. Like he didn't even bother counting how many months he spent there.
Yeah, right.
You counted
Like,
for a
how
living.
long have you been there? Few.
Dude, don't talk to me about counting. I've been counting all day long. If you'd say one number, I'm gonna hit you.
Yeah. It's like some kind of irate, abusive accountant.
Yeah.
Like you even say like, "How was today?" And he's like, "What? What did you say?"
I know that number.
So Pop Adams was pissed. He's like, I just paid all this money to send my son to get the very best education in the colonies. And he's like, "Bruh, I don't like that." So he's
Okay.
like, Sam, like, I wanted you to become a lawyer or some shit. You're not going to do that. Just set up a business. I'm going to give you £1,000, which in today's money is about $300,000
Whoa.
to set up a business. Go start a business.
I'm speechless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he gave him $250,000 to set up a business.
What'd he do? Make taffy?
So Sam takes the money, and within a few months, it was all gone. 500 of the pounds went to a friend who had been hit with financial difficulties.
Aw.
And somehow he was like, "You need the money. You should pay me back, but you don't have to. I'm rich."
Whenever you're like, you tell someone you don't have to pay me back, just you're not going to be paid back.
Mm-hmm.
You can just collapse all the uncertainty out of the equation and just say I'm not just admit you're not getting paid back when you say you don't have to pay me back.
Yeah. And the other 500 pounds went towards, I'm assuming, getting hand jibbers in the bar.
Yeah. Expensive ones too.
Yeah.
Martha, I would like to procure a hand jibber.
Can I interest you in our finest? We have a spider lady here. We've done all the nails. And she's going to pull till your heart is empty. You understand?
Give me a molasses hand job.
That will be £5. Ooh.
Times
So-
20.
Yes.
Sam did-
5!
What? Sam defended this by saying some bullshit like, "Money isn't everything, man."
Yeah.
This was the type of shit that he used to say all the time. He just wasn't interested in money at all.
Well, it makes sense how he's disillusioned with money because like money problems he inherited from his dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes sense why he's not a huge fan of money, as you know.
He's also spoiled. Like, the only people who ever say money isn't everything are people who have all their needs taken care of. Like, when you have to pay your rent and you're working a shitty job, that is everything. That money represents everything. So it's the most infuriating thing when a rich person goes, money isn't everything, dude. It's like, get fucked.
Yeah. So just to add to your thing is that Sam Adams was always poor. Like in the book I read, he was like, "Oh, he was always poor, like a man of the people," and they called him Poor Adams. But he was so poor that he couldn't afford shoes unless if his dad bought him shoes. So this man is like, Daddy, buy me Nikes. I can't wear shoes.
Buy me children to make me Nikes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Make me
Kind of
Nikes
middleman.
sounds way more old-timey than it should. Make me Nikes.
Make me Nikes.
New
I just turned
Jordans, though.
Jamaican for that.
Yeah, you did. Well, that's not racist.
No.
It's cute.
So he's a completely non-functioning idiot. But anyway, so by 1747, this worthless brat established a populist group called the Whipping Post Club.
Sounds good.
Sounds like a fun time. You should do
Sounds
that.
good.
Man.
Yeah.
And they called themselves the Whipping Post because its members had sharp, whip-like language towards government officials.
Oh, wow. All right.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, kind of lame.
Yeah,
That
so
sounds British. Really British for some reason.
They're like fake British also.
Yeah.
So their tongues were so sharp and whip-like.
yeah. Ah! Ah!
What are your policies on public transportation? Well,
Yeah, they're just really uncreative. They're just like, fuck you.
your knickers are too short.
Right.
Ouch. Zing.
So, yeah.
Whipping
Here-
posted away.
You've been whipped. Sir. So here's where Sam starts to become kind of like, I want to say, either an Alex Jones or a Young Turks just spilling garbage. Just
Right,
garbage.
Mhm.
Oh. So he starts a newspaper called the Public Advertiser, which mainly featured editorials written and edited by Sam Adams.
Okay.
And his goal was to defend the rights and liberties of those who worsted cap and leather apron, which basically just means like working class men. Because when like a craftsman would wear like a hat and a leather apron.
It was a uniform. It was one of
Yeah.
those paper hats. They have the delis.
Yeah.
Leather uniform is just old
Yeah.
ham.
So I'm getting there's a lot of leather and whips
Yeah.
associated with Samuel Adams in his young days.
He's big on the leather and whips. So obviously this rag was not making him any money. The publication was probably costing him money, if anything. What happened here? What happened here?
Why is there furry porn in my slides?
Okay. So, in March of 1748, Sam Adams Sr. dies at the age of 58.
Another number?
Yeah. Sam is pretty bummed.
Mhm.
But that doesn't stop him from hitting up the reverend officiating his father's funeral, his daughter, Elizabeth Checkley.
Okay.
So, like, he's at his dad's funeral, and he's literally checking out the reverend's daughter and be like, oh, what's up, baby? My dad just died.
I don't think I should spend tonight alone.
I don't think that's such a bad thing. It's obviously not a good thing, but it's not such a bad thing.
People
Yeah.
grieve differently.
Yeah. Some people grieve with hard cocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sam starts macking game with Elizabeth for a year, and then bam! Sam's mom dies.
Oh,
I
now
was
he's
gonna
in.
say they're
Now
gonna
he's
get
in
married.
there.
He's,
Now he's
he's
getting
going. He's
laid.
rounding second base. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's probably wishing for that too. It's like, I need another parent to die so I can get laid.
You know,
Yeah,
Sam Adams Jr., smooth.
7
Killed
months
two
later,
parents to get laid.
7 months later, Liz and Sam get married, and Sam is legally allowed to stick it in the butt.
Is he though?
No, not really. He probably
No.
burned at the stake for that
Yeah. He's a warlock.
shit. He's a warlock for pleasuring her in the other hole.
The nether hole.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that things that we did probably sometime this week would have got us burned at the stake back then. Without
Yeah.
thinking about it. The things we did to our bodies or drugs we smoked or things we snorted, totally normal things, we'd be dead back then.
dead.
Many times over.
Yes. I can't believe this laundry list of shit.
He uses fabric softener.
By Jove! So you'd think that after his father's death, Sam stood to make a pretty handsome inheritance. I mean, he's got that whole lawsuit thing going on, but his dad had tons of money, tons of property. That's just like paying a student loan, right? Okay, I got to pay the government, every month.
Yeah, no big deal.
No biggie. Oh, yeah. So the big thing that Sam Adams Sr. had that was a huge cash cow and safe from the government was the Adams Brewery.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. There it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So here is where conspiracy starts. And where the America you thought you knew, master brewer Sam Adams, not so much. Not so much.
Okay. All right. I'm ready for the truth.
Yeah, the truth is about to be revealed.
Good. I shaved my legs today, guys, just because I knew I'd have to run fast to keep up with these truths.
Yeah, even though the modern Sam Adams Boston Lager, the shit that tastes like diluted gutter runoff,
all right,
will tell you that it all started with Sam. He was the first American brewer. It's a lie because the Sam Adams Brewery was actually a malt house.
If I'm an idiot and don't know the difference, only if, please explain it to me.
Okay,
I second that question.
Yeah,
yes.
all right.
So the Adams would make malt, which is something you use in beer that the breweries would buy from the malt house.
So nothing for human consumption would come out of this malt house.
Right. The malt house made the mash of barley or whatever you're turning into alcohol. It basically is like a soup of shit that they use to ferment the beer.
So
a slurry.
This is an important part of the process. And if we were to overlook that, we ourselves, roast mortem, would be considered un-American to question the wording on that bottle.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Just want to clear that up.
It's going to get worse, dude. So Sam Adams was known as a malt teaser, which is what you call a malt man guy.
I thought that's what they called those butt plugs with the tails coming out of them. Right? Little Davy Crockett butt plug.
Right. So here's where your mind's gonna get blown again. Right. Sam's got this lucrative malt house, and he doesn't do shit with it. He just ignores the business, and it suffers a slow and painful death until 1796 when it went out of business.
Boo. Bad businessman.
So this myth of Sam being I've heard, I think it was the guy from Dog's Head Lager. What's that one? Dogfish?
Dogfish
Head.
There's Dogfish Head, and then there's Flying Dog.
Right. I heard one of them say brewing in America is like a tradition. It all goes back to Sam Adams, and he was in the pubs and brewing beer. This dude had a malt house and he fucking failed at it, and he just let it go out of business.
Well, letting businesses run their course is also very American. So you're not really blowing my mind right now.
Well,
but you just visited a Blockbuster and celebrated that, and now you're condemning his old malting process.
All right, but here's the thing: is also if you want to get on the fact of this is really American, for someone like Sam Adams who championed the working class and would write about the common man's plight by neglecting his business, which was a major employer in Boston,
especially if he can't hold a job down.
Yeah, by neglecting his business, he made so many workers lose their job at the malt house.
All right, well, that's not very nice, but it's also his freedom
to fuck people over. I like
that. Well, I mean, it is.
Definitely wouldn't wear a mask.
Very American. No mask there. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's neglecting to run this business, but he's still writing his bullshit newspaper about how the common man's getting fucked over.
Like he's podcasting.
Yeah, and Sam would attend the Boston town meetings. Now, I don't know if have you guys ever been to a town meeting?
Yes.
There's always that
No.
one person, and you look at them like they always stand up at whatever that zoning issue is. They have a tote bag on, and everyone on the council knows who they are because they're there every week. Like, oh, there's fucking Jacob, fucking complaining like he's got nothing
Jacob
better
with a
to do.
silent H.
Ew.
That was Sam Adams. He was there every time. He was complaining about every little fucking thing that Boston Council had, to do.
But he's a patriot.
Yeah, it's the real patriot.
I stepped in shit. Why didn't you do something about it? Take a seat, Sam. We're not talking about horse shit right now.
I still have 4 more minutes to talk about shit.
Could you save it for later? I know you signed up to talk 5 times. We'll give you the 3rd time to talk about shit. Shit. I'll talk about all.
So he was there long enough where in 1753 he was elected to an unpaid position inspecting and evaluating Boston schools. They're like,
This guy really likes not making money, doesn't he?
Yeah, he hates making money, and they're pretty much just like, we got to get this guy, give him something to do because he's really pissing us off.
Have them
Literally
inspect the
throw him a bone.
schools and not actually give him any power. That's good.
Yeah, no money.
I mean, it does make sense. It's unfortunate that all these low-paying government jobs always go to like useless kids, and then they climb the corporate ladder. I mean, the government ladder, and then they get
The
actual
corporate
jobs and make
government
decisions for people that they've never even heard of.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
So, talking about climbing the government ladder, in 1756, the Cosmos played a cruel trick on Sam, and he was elected to the paid position of property tax collector.
He's an accountant.
All right, I'm not going to count that it's all there, but you know how much needs to be in this sack, right? It's got to have King's face on it. That's what they said. King's face, a bunch of it. I don't count.
Can't show the tire swing on my dad's property that he built for me.
If I give this to my counters and they come back and say that this isn't enough and you counted bad, I'm going to be mad. I'm going to bring out 1 hammer. One!
So here's the thing, is obviously with the whole Land Act thing, or the land bank thing that I talked about, he didn't like property tax. So he would let people off easy and not have them pay.
Oh my God.
American hero.
But here's the thing. So when you are a tax collector, and this is something that should absolutely, I think you've talked about it on the show before, Tom. This is something that should absolutely exist today, where if you're trying to collect someone's money, they were responsible to pay for the money. Like if they didn't collect all the money, it went to the tax collector to be like, well, guess you owe us money.
You fucked.
Oh, yeah, making it responsible for the collection as opposed to putting it on the person. Because you can't expect people to just hand over their fucking money that they worked hard for.
Yeah. So by 1765, Sam had amassed a debt of uncollected debts of over 8,000 pounds. So that's over $1 million today. Easily.
Why
does
he get put in such important positions?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? It's just like I don't even know how to begin like drawing an analogy for this. Like, make the guy who has hydrophobia responsible for watering the gardens.
Henry, turn on the hose, the slippery hose. Turn it on real quick. I don't want to look.
If you have hydrophobia, every shower time can be an episode of Naked and Afraid.
Yeah, I'm just naked now because I didn't actually get around to it because I saw this fucking highlights magazine and I decided to do the puzzle.
It's naked.
So when the tax collectors came to collect the tax on the tax collector, Sam Adams, they threatened to auction off his estates. And Sam, in return, threatened to sue anyone that tried to auction off his estates. So the sheriff tried twice to auction off his house, but was met with incendiary threats written by Adams in his Boston papers and lawsuit documents.
Incendiary threats. Cool
Yes.
grindcore name.
Back when the pen was actually mightier than the sword.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because people don't have anything to do. They read the paper if they can read. And they're like, this guy Sam Adams says that Joey is a bad boy. I'm not going to do business with him.
I did
No
the
way.
legwork. I did the legwork. I read it. That must be right.
Back in the day, when a tax collector failed to collect, most of the time they were embezzling the money. Now we don't know Sam was doing that. They'd collect the money and then be like, "Oh, he didn't pay me £100," but then they put it in their pocket.
Yeah.
But this is what Governor Thomas Hutchinson thought. He was like, "Dude, I'm gonna lock this Adams up because he's just fucking taking people's money and stealing from everyone." Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't.
Wow. Forefather of America, possibly embezzler.
Yeah.
Wacky.
Oof.
So before we move forward with more Sam Adams and his political crusade, let's talk a little bit about family life. What was happening in the Adams family?
Tell me.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da.
Uncle Fester. Cousin It.
So, family life. His wife, Elizabeth, was cranking out babies this whole time. Popping them out. Bam, bam, bam. Which meant more mouths to feed, right? Unless
you get one of those mouthless babies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fresh model.
Well, a few of them were mouthless because only 2 of 6 of the children would make it to adulthood.
Infant mortality. A welcome joke on Roast Mortem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was, honestly, it was probably a plus for Sam Adams because, again, he's poor. That means one less mouth to feed. But unfortunately, on Elizabeth's 6th child, she gave birth to a stillborn and then died a few days later.
I'd be pissed too.
Yeah.
I want a refund. I'm going up to heaven. I'm going up to heaven to argue with the maker.
Chase these bastards down.
Do you take land money?
So somehow, Sam still broke his shit and still causing trouble with the governor. A few years later, he finds another Elizabeth Wells.
2.0.
Yeah, Elizabeth 2. Liz 2.
So I know you just slipped up there, but I just heard you say something that made me think of a nice way of referring to a boner occurrence, which is causing trouble.
Trouble.
Yeah. Man, she's causing trouble.
I love that. Can we make that a shirt? Causing trouble.
Yeah.
So Liz did not cause any trouble because she didn't pop out any kids. So she kept the cost low. Sam liked her.
Yeah, this efficient wife.
So now on to the meat and shrimp of the episode.
Yeah. We're there?
The surf and turf, you would.
Surfed and turfed, sir. Oh, a little side note. I just read something that shrimp is apparently carrying coronavirus, and I'm very upset because why would shrimp do me like that?
Well, it's not the shrimp personally. They're just a bunch of big old pink dummies.
All right, so
aren't we all?
I don't know. I'm just so upset. I'm hurt, personally.
Can you make this? Can you make it through this episode, Travis?
Maybe. But let's talk about the kindling that sparked the American Revolution, and that was taxation.
Uh-oh, we're in it.
We all
we're
know.
still fighting it.
Yeah, we all know Americans hate being taxed.
They really do.
And especially when they don't feel represented. I personally have never felt represented in my government, and I feel like
it's a republic.
I feel like most people don't and are paying ridiculous tax for stupid military jets that are out of date before they ever fly, or some private airfield for a senator, or Jeffrey Epstein selling underage holes to politicians.
How dare he?
Yeah. That's where our money goes. You know what? We deserve it. There's not enough fight back.
Yeah. So the shit we take today would have made the colonists back in the day invent the A-bomb in the 18th century and drop it on London.
It would have like the rage would have sped up technological process.
Yep.
Like Sam would just be like, "Did you see this shit?"
Well,
What
Dude.
the fuck is nuclear fusion? Get me that. Give me an Asian, quick.
The federal income tax has only been around for 70 years,
Mm-hmm.
and that's the biggest chunk of your paycheck.
Yeah. And did you vote for that shit? No, I didn't.
Nope. Anyway, let's continue before
Yeah.
this gets too fucking Ron Paul-y.
I am so uptight right now.
So, to give a little context about this taxation we're going to be talking about. Between 1754 and 1763, the British and American militias were fighting the French in the frontier of America in a war that's called the French and Indian War. The rest of the world knows it as the 7 Years' War. So if you're not from America, 7 Years' War.
Congratulations, you know more than us.
Yeah. This was a massive world war. It was literally fought across the world, but it started in America. The British military had defended the American colonies from French and their allied Native Americans raiding frontier towns. And in return, they needed a little help to pay for the defense. Right?
Right.
We got an army here. You got to help feed them.
Freedom ain't free, baby.
Yeah. So they enter a series of minor taxes that would piss off Sam Adams and a bunch of other Americans. They're like, we're not having this. And it was enough for them to protest, boycott, terrorize, loot, burn, and eventually start a war. And if that doesn't sound familiar, I don't know.
Just
what
why are you
world
listening to
living
this
in.
fucking show?
What's going on?
You need some
who are we?
basic understanding. You don't have to pick sides, but know it.
Yeah.
Why them hot dogs on the grill? Why explosion sky time? Why do we get chubs? Why are we allowed to swim in suits?
Dude, First Amendment
America.
protects chubs.
Yeah, yes it does.
Yeah.
Is that the second or first?
Well, when it protects, your right of speech is not limited to verbal speech or written speech. It's also
But that was what
Physical.
speech means.
cocks and balls.
Yeah, like it's an interpretive dance that is centered around my cock and balls.
Yeah, exactly.
Deal with it.
As
Deal
long
with
as
it,
it doesn't
haters.
touch anyone else, that's freedom of speech.
So all of this American rage, Sam Adams was at the center of it all. He was stoking the flames of the mobs, inciting violence, even creating false narratives and propaganda to support his side.
They want to take away our cock and balls.
Yeah. So if you think of any news outlet today, or even the current president, just making shit up and starting conspiracies, that is what Sam is doing.
You talking shit about Trump?
What's going on?
Yeah.
All right. Your
Is that
freedom
the
of
reason
speech.
you have 40 slides?
Yeah.
That's the reason you have 40 slides. There's just one fucking like constipated like central core of Travis's episode tonight, and it's about conspiracies and fake news.
All right, so let's talk about taxes then. We'll move on. So the first one was the Sugar Act. It was one that everyone forgets about, so we're going to skip it. The Stamp Act.
And the cycle continues.
Yeah.
That's why they made stevia.
Yeah, that's why I made stevias, and now you can put it in your
Sweet
coffee and not feel bad.
You can't tax my sweet and low or my equal.
All right,
Exactly.
so the Stamp Act. This was not a tax on stamps. I mean, stamps were included. It was a tax on every printed piece of paper.
To which
inclu-
you needed a stamp.
Yeah, which you needed a stamp, including some weird items that weren't paper, like dice for gambling.
Well, those were stamped on.
Yeah.
There was a whole bunch of little King Georges on there. How
Yeah,
many
little-
King Georges are we playing with
Like-
CeeLo?
Don't freak out, but the Stamp Act kind of exists today. Every time you want mail to be moved from point A to point B.
Yeah, so I will talk about that. Something that is not really thought about. Wait, I don't even know what I'm reading right now. I'm just looking at words.
Yeah. The words look back.
Well, you wrote them when you were sober.
Yes.
How's it going with the drinking?
Oh, great, dude.
Do
I'm
they
actually
look the
drinking
same?
I'm drinking a LaCroix right now because I'm trying to trick myself.
Smart.
I love it.
Smart.
So something that's not really thought about so much is who these taxes were really affecting. Firstly, like if you think about the average person in colonial times, paper was not something they really needed or used every day. So
What do they wipe with?
their hand, dude. I don't know.
They ate only hard shit, so it came out fine.
Yeah, and if it was
It's a
dirty, they grabbed a raccoon and wiped it.
Or a small child.
Yeah.
Wearing a raccoon suit.
So yeah. So this tax mainly just affected the rich Americans, the wealthy.
Uh-huh.
And not,
As it should.
And not all paper was equally taxed under this bill. Things like diplomas, legal documents, and other ritzy items were heavily taxed.
Okay.
But if you
Official
wanted
documents.
Yeah, if you wanted something like a calendar or a deck of cards or something like that, normal everyday items for a person, in some cases it was taxed less than your average sales tax, state sales tax, if you have it, unlike me.
All right, fuck you.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Did you hear the part where we asked you to fuck off?
Bye, guys. So it's not really that big a deal. They're asking for a little bit of money. Sam felt this was fucked up because the
How much money?
principle of it. How much money?
How much? Yeah, like what does a stamp go for back in ye olde colonial fucks?
Well, as I said, it was like weighted. So I saw something that was like, if you wanted a deck of cards, it was about 50 cents equivalent, modern equivalent, tacked
That a
onto
lot?
your deck of
It
cards.
seems like a lot.
It's maybe a lot, but like, I don't know. It's not too bad. How much you
not
pay for
every-
How much you pay for cigarettes?
$14
I steal them.
Yeah.
from Native Americans.
Yeah. Native Americans. Steal your land, steal the shit that grows on your land. Give me that shit.
So Sam was pissed off. And it was a principle of the fact that the colonies were not represented in Parliament when they made this bill. That was the issue here.
Right.
Or was it? Or was that the real issue? Because
Wait, what is that little fucking rhyme that they used to do?
No taxation without representation.
Yeah, fall asleep all the babies, you know? No taxation without representation. Go to little bed. No. And then they threw them up to a fucking goat field.
now, as you
Goats ate them.
yeah, as you know, I am a loyalist. God save the Queen. But I tried to put my loyalty aside here when I was talking about this.
Doesn't sound like it.
I can't wait until loyalist becomes a hate speech term.
Yeah.
And you get canceled in 12 years from now.
It's all right. Deport me to Canada, please. I want free healthcare.
No, they're
Sounds
worse
nice.
there. They'll fucking cancel you off the healthcare.
All right.
Trudeau.
You said loyalist once. You have to go live in the mountains, and you're not allowed to bring any Doritos.
Oh, no. So, was it really the issue, though, of him not being represented? So, well, through all of his government roles, Sam had, at first he was totally against the aristocracy, right? But he had
Right.
made some aristocratic friends that held his same liberal, wacko ideals. And his most wealthy supporter was John Hancock,
Hey.
hand gibber extraordinaire.
I think you put a D in there that doesn't actually belong in that.
Yeah. Handcock.
Yeah, hand in cock. You can't not laugh at that. It's comedy that writes itself. It's everyday man's material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blue comedy.
Yes, Larry the Cable Cock.
So John Hancock was one of the wealthiest men in Boston, and he had been profiting off of England's lack of enforcing laws on bootlegging. So he was undercutting imperial markets by basically bringing ships into the harbor and being like, I don't know, I got this tea.
He's pirating.
Yeah, he's a pirate. Like a bureaucratic, like Wolf of Wall Street pirate.
Smuggle boy.
Right, he's just going around like, it's like, all right, all the ships have to come to this harbor. It's like, well, I just built a dock over there, and they're just going there. And they have all my stuff. And I had this one guy who was working for me. He was a counter, but he lost his fucking mind.
Yeah, he's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So John Hancock at this point was keeping a roof over Sam's head. He was basically just paying all the bills that Sam didn't pay for and kind of propping him up, to live.
Because he's not doing it himself.
Another man was James Otis. You don't really hear about this founding father because he went insane, but he famously coined the term taxation without representation is tyranny, which is the real full thing.
Tyranny.
It's tyranny?
It's tyranny.
Tyranny?
Really?
Tyranny.
Yeah.
Not tyranny.
Yeah, tyranny. it's tyranny.
Oh my God, that was a real smooth brain moment
Yeah.
there.
Dude, smoothest I could ever do.
Tyranny.
It's tyranny. It's iRobot. He starred with Will Smith in iRobot.
Good.
Also, by him going insane, he did kind of go insane, but one of the reasons why people thought that he was going insane was he believed that black people should be part of the democratic process. And a lot of people were like, no, you're insane.
That's ludicrous.
Yeah.
They're not allowed in the buildings. How can they vote? You're skipping steps here, Otis.
Well, to be fair, people were far more liberal in New England. Their slavery. Well, we'll get into that. I'll get into that.
I know. I'm making a joke of the times.
Yes.
Like that. Yes. Yeah. Please don't take that out of context, anyone. And if you do, don't listen to this show, I guess. We're not for it.
Yeah.
Give us your money before you stop listening.
Yeah.
So, two things happened to Sam Adams during the Stamp Act. Two major things here. One was Sam formed the Sons of Liberty. And we'll get a little bit more into that in a bit. The second thing was that Sam developed a benign familiar tumor, which
what is that?
Is which meant that Sam was perpetually doing a Michael J. Fox Macarena and had a very shaky voice.
Oh, poor guy.
Oh, okay.
So benign.
Yeah.
Benign.
So I really didn't see that coming.
The plot twist.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was set up so that didn't happen, and that makes it a twist, but he's an ill man.
Yeah. Not trying to make it political, but also when Trump mocked that guy that had the same issue, pro-America.
That was kind of funny.
Satan on the founding fathers, dog.
Yeah, well, I mean...
All right, so the Sons of Liberty, you've probably heard of them. The Sons of Liberty.
From Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah, I was to say not Metal Gear. But it's a pretty cool name, right?
Yep.
Sons of Liberty. Strong.
Were they racist? It sounds like that's what you were doing.
No.
Cool name, right? They're racist.
Yeah,
No.
you're done. Another twist.
Well, the thing is Sam, who was the founder of it, actually didn't think of the name. He just...
he has a writer?
What?
He's got a writer?
Well, the name was actually coined by Colonel Isaac Barry, who predicted after they passed the newly formed tax that the Sons of Liberty would rise up against it. And so Sam read this article by this British dude. It was like, oh, that's a cool name. We're going to be called Sons of Liberty.
Oh, a little plagiarist boy.
Pretty neat, yeah.
Yeah. So the Boston Sons of Liberty were about 300 men. And they would meet up in the isolated part of Boston called Boston Neck underneath a elm tree that they called the Liberty Tree. So real high school tough guy shit.
The Boston Neck sounds like the most unimpressive but painful sex position I've ever heard of.
It's not gratifying. No one's ever come that way. Don't try it.
Only the sickos get off that way.
No one's into it. And it doesn't even look good on film.
Starts fires sometimes.
Yeah. A lot of rubbing.
Rug burn.
Chafing.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong chub penalties.
Chub penalties.
Making trouble.
Yeah. Making trouble.
So
what were you saying? Sorry.
You were going to say something, Tom?
No, I'm done. You can talk. Please just
I
start
win.
over me. Yeah.
Cody wins.
Polite.
Victory.
Too darn nice.
So Sam Adams sort of acted like a puppet master to this group of mobsters as they began to harass the soon-to-be Stamp Act collectors. The Sons would even go as far as tar and feathering some British officials. So I feel like a lot of people have heard the term tar and feathering, and it sounds kind of funny, like, oh, like a little chicken.
No, it ruins
But
lives.
yeah, tar and feathering is one of the most disgusting, immoral acts you can do to someone. And I will describe what a tar and feathering is like. So,
Good.
tar is hot and sticky. You've probably seen the Flintstones when they hang out in the tar pit or something.
Or seen a street.
A street, yeah. You've
Yes.
ever smelled that gross smell
A street.
when you're driving? So these goons would find the taxmen or whoever they didn't like. They would hold them down, pour hot tar over them, and the tar left third-degree burns, which left the skin permanently scarred. And then they would dump feathers on them to cause the tar to make it harder to peel off the skin. So you were picking out the feathers, which like made like big blistered chunks that you would just pick after
Nice.
the tar had cooled.
I love it.
On top of this, the Sons would often waterboard their victims with hot boiling water.
Ooh.
Is that waterboarding now, or is it just killing a fucker?
Yeah.
They
that
lived-
might kill you.
Sometimes.
All right.
Sometimes.
Top your roof.
Okay.
You know when you bite into hot pizza and you got that thing going on for the next day? It's like
Bad.
that, but worse.
Ooh.
And less tasty.
Yeah.
There was a
with
lot
no
of-
taste at all.
Yeah, a lot of.
Help, I'm dying.
No, we're doing this to you. Why would we want you to help?
Your tongue is so big.
So, on August 13th, 1765, the Sons hung up an effigy of Lieutenant Andrew Oliver and a horned devil sticking out of a boot, which represented Lord Boot, who was the leading Stamp Act supporter in the House of Lords.
Oh, they made Muppets.
Yeah, I was thinking they made like a little Mario guy when he's in the boot.
Oh, like a Karibo shoe. I love it.
So that night, the protesters marched through the streets, chanting "Liberty, property, and no stamps." The riots marched all the way to Andrew Oliver's house, which was looted, making sure that they drank all the wine in the cellar before burning his effigy in a bonfire in his front lawn.
You don't need to make every statement sober. So I can
No.
get behind this.
Oliver was hiding in the attic with his family, and the crowd chanted for him to resign as stamp distributor. And Oliver, fearing for his life of his family and everything, agreed. It's like, all right, I'm not going to collect them stamps.
Don't need it. Want life. Don't need stamp money.
The mob next turned to Governor Thomas Hutchinson's mansion. They looted his house, smashing in the walls and the roof, and burning all of his books in a massive bonfire on his front lawn.
Oh,
That
well,
sounds
that
dumb.
yeah. What does that remind me of? Nazis.
Nazis?
They
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, yeah. And he probably didn't have any wine. If he had wine, they probably would have left him alone.
Yeah, rude. What are all these
Yeah.
books for? They're good for burning on your front lawn.
Made of paper, or just keep taxing because of paper. Let's get this prick.
Attack his paper.
It's a bunch of guys stabbing books.
Yeah, it was a dick stamp, though.
Just flopping dicks out.
I can't read it. There's a giant dick.
So you might think, where are the police? Fooled you. No police back then.
You did not fool me. Fuck you.
There was hardly enough garrisoned redcoats in Boston to stop the hundreds of rioters.
Yeah, they were defunded. So
Garrison.
Yeah.
that's what happens.
The Boston riots sent waves across the colonies, and many other sons and daughters of liberties were formed until eventually the Stamp Act was repealed, and Adams was like, "Oh hell yeah, this is happening! I did it."
Oh, okay. Glory hog, I see.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So just because the Stamp Act was repealed didn't mean Parliament was giving up on taxing the colonies. They got to make that skrill and save America from the Native Americans and French.
Also, Taliban.
What's that?
You gotta save them.
Oh,
you
yeah.
gotta save
Yeah.
America from the Taliban. You can't have fucking
Al-Qaeda.
those guys. Yeah.
So they came up with a replacement act that they put forth called the Townsend Act.
Oh yeah.
And this was a tax on paint, tea, lead, paper, and glass.
Yeah.
They also decided to reinforce an act that they had instated a few decades earlier called the Navigation Act, which made it hard for Americans to trade with any other nation other than Britain.
Oh.
Now, the Navigation Act really fucked over our boy John Hancock, who had become the main financier of the Sons of Liberty, because he was trading with he's like a little bootlegger boy. He's got to get shit in hand, right?
He's got the hustle going.
Yeah. Now, Sam was furious over the Townsend Act, and he declared a boycott on all British goods, and used the Sons of Liberty gang to reinforce the boycott.
So what isn't a British good at this point? Hentai?
Well,
That's Japan, and then
Yeah, right.
they got the rest of it.
there's a lot of hentai circulating around Boston at the time. They were very, very into their Ohago face. Was that?
I have no idea how to say that word. I've only read it. I don't want to know how to say it.
I don't want to know what it is. Oh, that.
It's the, it's the anime sex face drool.
I saw that once while doing research. Penis research.
On what?
And
okay.
and I couldn't believe how many hits it had on a particular website.
So if you can imagine Elizabeth Wells doing that for Sam Adams when they tried to make babies that they were unsuccessful at because they learned too much stuff from the hentai. There's a lot more possibilities than just cream pie, Sam.
Actually, that would be the one sex thing we constantly reference that would make a baby. Because usually then it's butt stuff.
Depends
or mouth
where the
stuff
cream.
or
Yeah.
hand
You're
gibbers.
not making babies from butt stuff.
Well, you have to go real deep.
So
You gotta get past the colon.
Cody, you mentioned a very good point of what is not British coming into the
Hentai?
city, which
Right.
we will talk about. But so if the Sons of Liberty found out that a merchant was selling British goods, he would go to their store, or they would go to the store, smash it up, and sometimes tar and feather them in the streets. There's a
That
regular
was KB toys all over again.
Yeah, just a regular guy trying to sell Ninja Turtles action figures that were made in Leeds. And all of a sudden, oops, I'm tarred and feathered and scarred for life.
Did it? Oops. Well, also Britain's owned so many. They had so many colonies, and they were so invasive that they were everywhere.
Yeah.
So it didn't even need to be a British thing, but
Invasive,
to be
I
deemed
like that.
a British.
It
Thing.
could be from India, like we see that
Yeah.
with the tea, right?
Yeah, all them teas and spices and different colored sands.
Sam Adams like, I hate fucking curry. No one should eat curry.
He's somehow Southern now.
Yeah.
Don't you vindaloo me, I'll vindaloo you.
So even though Sam was poor, he now had this financial sugar daddy, John Hancock, propping up. He would feed him and clothe him, as I mentioned. So the boycott didn't affect people like Sam Adams or any of his aristocracy backers. And he was trying to protect the average working class man, but as you mentioned before, Cody, what in the city isn't British? So massive starvation rocked the middle and lower class of Boston. It got so bad that people were dying in the streets because they didn't have anything to eat. But Sam and his goons of Liberty stood strong, showing no compassion to the average man or woman that was just trying to feed their family and terrorizing anyone that would break from the boycott.
Ooh, interesting.
I have a duplicate frame here. Okay.
Oh, thank God, one less page.
Yes.
There you go.
So, seeing the madness unfolding in Boston, the British officials were like, enough is enough. We have to send in British troops to suppress this mob justice. So, on October 1st, 1768, 700 British troops enters Boston from the harbor, complete with a cannon salute, and they paraded down the streets of Boston. Everyone's like, oh, thank you, I'm hungry. And some people are like, no, you're idiots.
Eat these tar and feathers.
Yeah. So here is where Sam Adams, the propaganda master, steps into his own. Sam filled his papers with stories, many of which were completely fictional, of soldiers raping wives and daughters, calling them locusts and caterpillars. Sam would also often hide his identity by using pen names. And often, to stoke the flames, he would write from the opposing POV in his articles to like make them look shitty.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so he's like pretending to be a redcoat, and he's like, "Dear world, I raped everything today."
Yeah, I was reading Sam Adams' newspaper, and I ran across this article written by a guy who claimed to be a redcoat doo head.
Yeah,
and he was saying how his favorite movie was The Last Indiana Jones, and he's
really.
Yeah, he was really into that Crystal Skull thing. I don't know if we could trust these people.
I don't.
Is this really Shia LaBeouf? This might be a pen name for Shia LaBeouf.
Could be.
Every redcoat is Shia LaBeouf. Do it.
Simultaneously.
And you're a loyalist.
Yeah, I am. I love Shia.
You do?
Yeah, he's my man. He's my man. We hang out. That's why I moved out here, because I hang out with him and so you guys.
Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Huh.
Fucking
Well,
hurts.
I guess you're a Disney man.
I'm a Disney boy till I die now.
Mm-hmm. That's so Raven.
Well.
So, we know that this we know that this was a media schmear campaign that Sam was doing, because after the revolution, he explained his tactics by penning, "Put your enemies in the wrong and keep them there." Which is
makes
smart,
sense.
but like, I know, it's kind of vicious in media shit, you know?
I mean, when it comes to media, everyone's doing that today.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what side you're on. That's what media does.
Yep. Another tactic that Sam deployed was encouraging the children of the Sons of Liberty to taunt, throw rocks and eggs at the redcoats, and call.
Dude, that's petty as shit. I love it.
And call them names like lobsterbacks and bloodybacks.
That seems a little racist.
I know. I love lobsters. They're just big shrimp that are red.
They're only red after you boil them.
No. But
Let's leave that pause in.
yeah.
So,
But also,
How-
like, real fucking brave, Sam. Like, this is some Al Qaeda shit.
yeah. I was like, how soft-skinned do these redcoats have to be to let little kid jeers affect them?
That
like, oh, this-
motherfucker called me a crustacean.
Son of a bitch!
But dude, if you've got like 30 kids, like all that are like, we're gonna be America's first baseball team, even though baseball hasn't existed, and they're all throwing rocks at you, like, you know what I mean? Like,
You're a soldier. You have a gun. They're kids. They're not bulletproof.
you can't do anything
Why not?
because you're a soldier.
Tom and Cody are just like, come on, kill more kids.
All right. Well, why not enter the Boston Massacre?
That sounds familiar.
So do you guys
Beat
know?
him with a broom handle.
Do you guys know about the Boston Massacre? I kind of want to hear what you guys think.
Crispy Boy,
Crispy Boy,
right? Crispus Attucks.
Oh yeah, he was the
black guy?
Yeah, he died.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I drink too much. I know the name. I know some terrible shit happened.
Yeah.
And I know the whole thing
It was
was
in-
like a misunderstanding,
Boston.
wasn't it?
So we got a bunch on it here.
Thank God, because we are a history podcast. And I just
Yes,
admitted
Tom.
that I forgot entirely about what that was.
I will refresh.
I thought there wasn't content for this episode.
I will refresh your memory. Tom, I expect an apology.
Travis, I'm sorry that I got you hard
Oh,
when you weren't expecting to be so hard.
I was expecting a chub, but Tom got me real hard.
I've been working out a lot, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
If you're not watching this, which you aren't, my shoulders are extremely wide and muscular at the moment.
Your deltoids are insane.
Right?
Yeah. You got like some sweat going on in your chest. You doing some push-ups now?
Well, I what I'm doing is I got this plan. I got to be the new sexy, funny guy on the market. Like stand-up comedy's old,
Like-
whatever. Crystalia just got canceled. I'm trying to take his position.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Crystal Lee.
Yeah.
What fucking happened to him?
I'm trying to get
Never
his
mind, never
body now. I had the Johnny Sins body. I lost it for a while, sitting on the couch too much. Now I'm trying to get Crystalia body.
We're not
'Cause
groomers.
That's what made him funny.
We're not groomers on this show, Tom.
No. I have an of age. I have an of age girlfriend and whatever.
I'm gonna have a 98-year-old girlfriend just to be safe.
Yeah, that's where you gotta
That
go.
is smart of you.
So this tactic of having children throw rocks at redcoats eventually hit a tipping point on March 15th, 1770.
Just turning your head away from the
1770.
Pickup is very close on these.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So a group of soldiers were on King Street when a group of young men, some of them children, started taunting them, throwing snowballs and shit at these soldiers.
Oh yeah, and they're like, oh, there's rocks in the snowballs. Fuck, and then they did.
And then there's AIDS on the rocks.
Yeah, so the soldiers at first were ordered back into the barracks to avoid a confrontation. They're like, these stupid kids throwing rocks and fucking ice cubes at you. Let's go inside the barracks. Come on.
Right.
So then the boys turned to a guard that was standing outside across the street at the British Custom House, which is where they collect the taxes. And they started pelting this dude really hard and shouting, "The lobster better not fire back at us."
What a dumb! You're like giving him the idea.
Yeah, so this terrified guy who's just getting like fucking... I keep thinking about the episode of Salute Your Shorts when they have the water balloon match and then Ugg gets all hit with the water balloons. You guys remember that? Nostalgia.
Yes.
Which one was Ugg?
Stolge.
So this terrified guard is like, if you come near me, I'm going to blow your brains out, so stand off.
Right.
And at that point, a servant ran to the barracks and told the captain that this sentinel was being killed. So, Captain
Tattletale.
Captain Thomas
Yeah.
Preston and 7 men came out of the barracks when all of a sudden, a large object hit one of the men in the head, knocking him out.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, someone, we don't know from which side, shouted fire. It could have been from the captain, or it could have just been one of these boys, like, egging on the guys. But
An egg fire,
Yeah.
you mean to say.
Yeah,
But,
it could have been like someone like trying to stamp out a grease fire in a kitchen.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Just the neighbor, just like, oh, fire!
But
Oh, God.
yeah.
And then people dead.
But anyway, the soldiers did just that. They fired. And in the men, out the men. In the end,
Classic.
in the end, 3 men were shot dead and 7 were wounded. 2 of those wounded were fatally wounded. So a total of 5 people died.
Oof.
That's not a massacre.
Well,
It isn't.
Tom, there's no automatic weapons. They're not gonna like make a mistake for 90 seconds straight as they load their next shot.
No, it's not a massacre. It could have been the Boston mishap.
So
The Boston
It's
trip
not
up.
as catchy.
Yeah.
yeah, so Tom, I like where you're thinking, because Adams knew that the Bostonians were hardly angels in the scuffle, but this was the shit that he had been waiting for, and he coined the term the Boston Massacre and had his friend Paul Revere start engraving the event, depicting like a patriotic, like bunch of people rioting up against, the Redcoats.
Yeah.
And so when you think of Boston Massacre, you think of like 50 to 100 people being mowed down by like a whole
If
troop.
you asked me how many people died in the Boston Massacre, I'd say something like 30.
Yeah, it was.
But it's only 5 you're telling
Yeah,
me.
it was only 5. A total collateral thing of 11 people were shot,
Okay.
and one of those people was Crispus Attuck, who was the escaped slave black guy.
So Caitlyn Jenner had killed one person She's
Okay.
responsible for the equivalent of 1/5 of a Boston massacre.
Don't
okay,
look at it like that.
yeah, that's how I'm looking at it. 'Cause that's
No.
how numbers are.
I mean,
I'm not as averse to counting like Sam Adams Jr.
I mean, not to make it too morbid, but that Boston bombing that happened was worse than
Yeah.
the Boston massacre.
That was a nightmare.
Yeah.
that was.
Yes.
How many people died in that?
explosive was
13?
used.
A lot of limbs lost or
Yeah.
something? Way closer to a massacre. How about we do some rebranding here?
Yeah, right?
Oof.
So Adams went down to Governor Hutchinson and demanded that the British troops be removed from the city. Hutchinson stood his ground and said the soldiers were just trying to keep the peace. Then Sam
course.
Adams threatened that he would have tens of thousands of men from the surrounding Boston area to forcibly remove the troops, which was a complete bluff. Sam did not have that much of a
Ooh.
rallying cause behind this.
Gall. I like that.
Hutchinson wasn't sure if he was bluffing, so he had the troops removed from the city because he didn't want more of the shit to happen.
Got caught.
So,
Well, I mean, they could have very easily, even if there weren't those people backing up, you could have seen like something like a half massacre. We can't have that on our hands.
well, that's like when you ever get chicken at a restaurant. Do you want the full chicken or a half chicken?
Yeah, exactly. That's the half rotisserie chicken. Yeah, there over 4 rotisserie chickens knocked on the ground during the Boston massacre, the Boston Market massacre.
Oh, no. How many sides came with that?
The sides, we couldn't even count the sides because it was one of those weird things where the guy asked to put like half coleslaw and half mashed potato.
Oh, I
in
hate
one.
that.
So it's like another half. Are we gonna really go tit for tat? It was a massacre.
So right now, people are thinking, if you're looking at Boston from outside and you're possibly leaning towards a loyalist perspective, you're seeing as Boston devolving into anarchy. Complete anarchy, because like they've just kicked the troops out, like they're stoning people in the streets.
They defunded the police.
I mean, there was no
Yeah, all
police.
defunded.
Police didn't exist.
Right, exactly.
garrison.
They defunded.
Yeah. So
Someone proposed the idea of police and they said no. Defunded.
yeah. So to prove that there was law and order, Sam ordered a trial of the British troops that were involved in the Boston massacre. A proper trial amongst peers. We're gonna see what
A
happens.
little. That's civil of him,
Yeah.
I guess.
So the soldiers' defense was led by none other than Sam's cousin, John Adams, which a lot of people confuse and they think they're brothers. But I could
would.
see why you'd be confused because both of them called each other Brother Sam and Brother John.
Ew, gay. Fucking gay. Sorry to drop the G slur, but
It's not a slur, it's just a descriptor. There's nothing wrong with it either way.
Yeah. So I think Sam was trying to create some type of kangaroo court by picking his cousin as their defense. But John Adams actually did a very good job defending them. And most people assumed that the British soldiers were going to be hanged for murder. But John convinced the jury that the 6 men were not guilty. And 2 of them were charged with manslaughter and were to be sentenced by branding their thumbs with a hot iron. That's what you got for manslaughter.
is
Oh,
it cool?
that's-
What kind of
that's-
brand? Is it tribal? Can I have a tribal thumb for doing some manslaughtering?
So yeah, these 2 people got charged with manslaughter and they just came out with a branded thumb. That's it. Yeah. But everyone else was not guilty. So the plan that Sam Adams had backfired by hiring his cousin John. And Sam wrote essays and essays condemning the outcome of the trials, saying that he thought the soldiers should have been convicted of murder and hung from the Liberty Tree. Hanged from the Liberty Tree.
Or at least had both thumbs tattooed.
Yeah, at least both, bro.
Or hang them from the thumbs?
Ooh.
Ever think about that?
Yeah.
So after the Boston Massacre, and the troops are out of Boston, Massachusetts enters what's called the Quiet Period. Yeah.
Ooh.
So nothing happened. That's it. nothing happened.
Usually you just don't name those times, but that's how bored they
yeah.
were.
So it's the Quiet Period. Life went on, but Sam Adams didn't. He kept stoking the flames, and people were just losing interest and enthusiasm. It's kind of like how Bernie Sanders was like all big, and then we all forgot about him for a couple of years, and then he came back. People just don't care if it's not in front of their face.
It's true.
This is
Very
happens-
true. Best intentions, they go away quickly with Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Back then, Netflix was like staring at a chicken's butthole and betting on when it would poop.
Yeah, that's fun.
I thought you were gonna say like betting what comes out of it, like poop or an egg.
Yeah, that too.
What's he gonna do?
Put 400 on the poop.
So he kept trying to stoke the flames, but people, again, losing interest. And Adams, at this point, became part of the Massachusetts House of Commons. But nothing's happening. It's just killing Sam. The numbers of Sons of Liberty was dropping dramatically. But peace would not last. Because we know history and we're America.
Yeah, and also the big day hasn't happened
The
yet.
big one, yes. So,
Yeah.
on May
Y2K.
1773, Parliament
My bad.
passed the Tea Act. So there was already a tax on tea, but the
Right.
Tea Act, what this did was it cut the price of English tea by half, but still maintained a tax on it. So Parliament thought, hey, these colonists will be able to save money on their tea rather than smuggling in from the Dutch, and we'll still be able to keep our tax on it.
I
makes
love it.
Sense on paper, taxed paper, but
Anything not to submit to the dirty Dutch boys, the dike-filling Dutch boys.
The Dutch Bros, my favorite coffee.
You love that West Coast coffee
I
stuff.
love it.
You know what? I don't see it. I never had it, but I couldn't imagine it.
I'm
So
curious.
much sugar in it. Every drop is a million sugars.
Wow. How are you not diabetic?
I'm getting there, man. I'm hoping. Keep praying. Keep hoping.
It's in your stocking every Christmas.
So
He's got to change his handle from Travis Legion to Travis Rascal.
I want to have that thing that takes you up the stairs every night. You're carried up the stairs every night.
Every night.
a
Get launched out by some
garçon.
gremlins.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the colonists were not outraged at the price because they're saving money. They were still outraged on the tax itself.
it's the principle.
Principle, right? So, and like that, the Sons of Liberty boycotts and outrage were all back. People drank, and also because we're still basically English at this point. We have to drink tea, right? Now we drink coffee because we're American.
Right.
I drink
But
White
back
Claw.
then, it was like we're kind of like Australians, like not really our own country, and we speak a weird dialect.
Well, we were the
What do you-
back of the bus of nations.
Yeah.
We were
Wow.
still on the same bus, and the Queen was driving, but we were picking where we sat. And dumb kids with stupid haircuts couldn't hang out with us, especially
No.
the kids with the bad uniforms.
Yeah. So we're still like tea drinkers, like pinkies out, like, oh, a spot of tea in the morning. Walking through the commons and so we need our tea. So people created what was called Liberty Tea, which was a mixture of raspberries, mint leaves, and sassafras root.
That sucks.
Yeah,
It sounds interesting, but just because it's a substitute, it's intrinsically lesser.
It's
you know what I
bad.
mean?
Yeah.
sounds stupid.
It's not just something they started picking up, like, hey, bored,
Yeah.
new drink, very cool. No, it's like, oh, fuck them, I'll put my mouth in the dirt.
Yeah,
it.
I thought you were going to say twigs and hose water.
Yeah.
Close to.
Like, I drink Bud Light seltzers, and that's not because I can't drink Bud Light, because they made something cool.
Right. You found a healthy
Zoomer.
alternative to your terrible lifestyle.
Yes. More donuts, please. So then what happened? We all know it. It's the Boston Tea Party.
Oh.
And we're going to go into a little bit more about what the Boston Tea Party meant and how it's happened.
Are Are you gonna do that now, or were
Yeah.
you just kind of setting us up
That's
for
a
later?
setup. That's a setup right now. This is how
That's
you
a
watch.
setup for
You
right
watch
now.
you watch the History Channel. You know Ancient Aliens. This is how they set it up. And now we're gonna talk about aluminums are actually alien anal probes.
I'm interested.
Yeah.
What do you have for me? am I chubbered?
So, as we all know, the Dartmouth, Beaver, and Eleanor were sitting in the Boston Harbor. Those are the names of the tea ships. The Beaver.
Really?
So there was a massive protest happening on the docks. Sam Adams was in the old meeting house and arguing with the governor and preaching liberty to the people.
They were tired of hearing
Yes,
it.
they kind of were. He said this in the meeting. He said, "This meeting can do nothing to save the country." And people think that was a signal for a bunch of men dressed up as Indians to go row out to those 3 ships and dump 342 chests of tea into the Boston Harbor.
It's nothing. It's almost nothing.
What I always have to ask, and I've never gotten a straight answer, why the engine get-ups?
I don't know. I
like,
think
no one can answer
I think
that.
it might have been like being anonymous, right? Like, like the Guy Fawkes mask, right?
There's
Like,
tons of ways to be anonymous, but why do you have to mock a racially distinct demographic of people to do so? You know what I mean? They could have like done the green morph suit thing, but they're just like, no, give me the headdress and face paint.
I don't know why they dressed up as Indians. I don't know, racist.
A little bit. That's how I always feel about it. It's just like,
Are you? Wait, hold on a second. Are you trying to tell us that our country, America, with the hot dogs, has been
that one.
was started by racists? Could it be true?
What?
Should I be shocked about this?
Actually, a little history fact here. The British recognized the Native American nations. The American colonies, once they came in and started a union, they were like, fuck you guys, you aren't people.
You're not people.
Yeah. So,
Well,
Silly.
pretty sad.
Silly.
Pretty sad.
Silly.
so Tom, before you said it's nothing that they dumped 342 chests in the water,
it's nothing.
the equivalent in today's money worth of cargo that they dropped overboard was $1.7 million worth of tea. And the best way to stick it to an Englishman is throwing their tea in an ocean and ruining it.
I can't believe what you've done.
Well, what was it? $1.7 million?
Mm-hmm.
So if they had just dumped in $1.7 million worth of pounds, the British would not be mad.
Yeah, but it was tea.
They're like,
You
well,
just go get it.
that's just money, but it's tea.
Tea that we stole from India.
It's the only word that British people can say without an accent. Tea.
Biakan. Biakan.
No.
Again.
Yeah.
That's English.
Yeah, let's go back
one,
to using
listeners.
human speech for the rest of the
Yeah.
podcast.
So,
All right, Travis, take
Yeah.
me away. I've been having too many Liberty beers. Oh, by the way, that's a Budweiser. What was the beer I was trying to get endorsed by? Narragansett. Fuck them. Budweiser.
I'm drinking.
Cody's
We're
got
all
the Bud
drinking.
Light.
Yeah, I'm drinking Bud Light seltzers.
Well, there you
Hey.
go.
We're endorsed. We probably just lost these people money. Let's
Yeah.
go.
So from there, right? That's the story, pretty much, right? Boston Massacre happened, Boston Tea Party happens. They chuck the tea, whatever. Everyone's angry.
It's not even a massacre. It's not even a tea party. What
It's
is
a tea
going on with
massacre.
this shit?
So from there, Sam helped unite the colonies under a united cause of separation from the British Empire through a series of continental congresses. So just keep in mind here that these were... Oh, sorry. Just keep in mind here... What?
Whoa.
Okay, keep in mind here, I think people have this idea that all colonists wanted independence. But that was not the case at all. In reality, about a third of the people in the colonies wanted independence. A third were loyal to the crown, and a third just couldn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
They're like, I don't care.
that makes
Interesting.
sense.
They're
I
split.
don't care today, so why would I care back then? And I could have existed. You can't disprove that.
Right. So when they always talk about like, why don't people vote? It's like, well, people didn't fucking vote back then. They didn't
Yeah.
care
Because they saw through it.
and they probably couldn't vote.
Yeah, true.
Monarchy.
Couldn't chew. You had to chew your ballot back then. Didn't have
Right.
teeth.
So if you weren't wrapped up in the bullshit that Sam Adams was spewing, why would it really matter who ruled you? I mean, also, if you think about it, the founding fathers were mainly rich colonists, and they weren't connected like the royal colonists, the aristocracy. So like the governors and people that had ties to the British aristocracy. So they stood to become the top of the social ladder if they lopped off the head of the state-backed rich people. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
dude.
Like they're
Yeah.
right there. All they got to do is get rid of this like British upper crust, right?
Yeah. It's a can you
Upper
dig it
crust.
moment.
Yeah. Can you dig it?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So the Continental Congress started to assemble armaments and also their Minutemen. So the Minutemen were men that could bust a nut in under a minute.
That's always what I think.
And the guys who wrote the Jackass theme song. They have more than one song. Folks.
Really?
Yeah.
My God.
They're a really good band. But the only way people know them is bow down bow down and so on.
Did they do the King of the Hill theme song too?
That was the Refreshments. And the guy who wrote that song actually owns a taco joint in San Juan, I think.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
So no, the Minutemen were people. The Minutemen were people that did not own a taco
Segways.
truck, and they did not write any theme songs. They were men that could be ready to fight within a minute.
Within a minute.
Yeah.
So what's the protocols and conditions? Because I could fight anyone in a fucking minute, but like, what's so special about them? Do they need to be well dressed fighting
No.
somebody in a minute? Because that's a challenge. at the
No,
point.
they could probably be in their undies. They just had to have their gun. They had to own a gun, and they had to
grab it
probably
in
have
a minute.
probably have a horse to get there.
Yeah. I mean, think of it like this, Cody. You can fight. You can go out there and do your thing. But let's pretend fighting was shredding cheese.
Sure,
I know you could do that too.
I'm on
but
board. Yeah,
But can you do that in a minute?
I see what you're saying.
Can you get to it? Can you be shredding? So these are guys who slept with cheese shredders under their pillows.
They're ready to go. I
they're
like
ready
that
to go.
analogy. Yeah.
That's a really good analogy. Because if you challenge me right now, Cody, grate a block of cheese in the next 60 seconds, I don't think I could do that because I gotta push this microphone away and put my cans down.
Find your
Like,
cheese
hobble
grater.
hobble into my kitchen semi-drunk and find that thing. Yeah,
I don't even need you to finish grating the cheese. I need you to just start within
just
a minute.
start in a minute. That's
Yeah. See, it's still a
that's
stretch.
it's up there. I see your
Yeah, man.
point.
Yeah.
Thank you for Tom. Very elucidating. I love it.
Tom will be at Northwestern teaching history soon.
As soon as I can finally remember how many people actually died at the Boston Massacre.
87, right?
Some massacres. There's gonna be loads of people, really.
So Tom,
5? I can't teach here.
I'm gonna test your historical knowledge since you're gonna be at Northwestern soon.
All right, cool. This is gonna be really embarrassing, isn't it?
What was the first battle of the Revolutionary War?
Oh, I have no idea. I just don't. I'm sure if when you say it,
Don't worry.
I might be able to lie.
Banca?
All right, I'll give you some clues. It has to do with grapes, and it has to do with your favorite porn star that has a darker complexion.
Martha's Vineyard?
Lexington and
Battle
Concord.
of Lexington. I thought it was
Lexington
Bunker
and
Hill.
Concord. All right. Yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
wasn't going to get that.
So it's not Bunker Hill. That's what I thought.
No, not
originally.
Bunker
and
Hill.
And then you gave me the hint of Mr. Steele, and I got it.
Bunker Hill's an early one, but Lexington
Not the
Concord
first.
was the
I
first.
was going to be surprised if you knew
Really?
who Martha Dildard was.
So Lexington and Concord happened on my birthday, April 19th, 1775. But the war was almost started a completely different way, and the first battle almost happened 6 weeks earlier. And one egg changed the course of history and the life
Fucking with me.
and the
You're
war
fucking with me.
forever.
Shut up.
One
What kind
egg.
of egg? What kind of was it? Boiled?
I'm gonna tell you about this egg. It's an
Tell me
important
about
egg.
the egg.
Please.
America
Brown?
could
White?
have been changed because of an egg. So, even though the movement for independence had spread far beyond Sam Adams at this point, the British still thought that Sam Adams was pulling the strings. And in some cases, they were right, because he was at the Continental Congress. This guy, they called him the Great Incendiary. And
Cool.
also, like Metallica, they called him the Master of Puppets.
Or for short, Cindy.
Cindy. Yeah, Great
Less
Cindy.
cool.
Great Cindy.
Don't call me that one. I'm mean.
Ah!
I can't be Cindy. I'm trying to not pay papers.
So the British started coming up with plans to take him down. So on the Memorial Day of the Boston Massacre, Dr. Joseph Warren and other hawkish members of the Continental Rebels were leading a warlike speech at the Old South Meeting House in Boston. And in attendance was Sam Adams, John Hancock, and hundreds of other patriots, right? So he's like there, he's like, you gotta build the wall of America around England.
Were they wearing masks?
No.
Important question.
No,
Yeah.
no. They're not mask-cedos. They're not tuxedo masks.
Tuxedo masks.
Very good, sirs.
Tuxedo masks. Oh, why have we not done that? We gotta sell that. We could make a shit ton of money on a bunch of weebs who like to post on Zinstagram and have DeviantArt accounts.
r/hentai titties.
Oh my god, this is the most popular subreddit on the internet. Hentai tits.
So this
Real,
Reverend
that's
Joseph
real.
Warren's like, oh yeah, we got to start this war. We're liberty, blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden, a group of 40 armed British soldiers started jeering the crowd to fight from outside. So they're in this meeting house that's like doubling as a church, and all these British guys like, oi, I see you in there. You got pantaloons for legs. Fight me like a man.
Verbatim.
Yeah.
So they're out there saying, fight me like a man, as British people do. And Sam, who was chomping at the bit for war, in a weird, like, instant, he was like, all right, everyone calm down. Because, like, all these patriots in there are like, we're not having this. These guys are dicks. And Sam is like, no, calm down. This is a public space. So let the soldiers in, and I'm going to clear out the front row of this church, and they can hear what Joseph Warren has to say. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, unknown to Sam, one of the soldiers in there was instructed to capture Sam, John Hancock, and Joseph Warren.
Just
Keep
one
putting
guy.
a D in that name.
One guy. With
One guy.
Hancock.
Just go get him.
Get him!
Like polite British people. Get him.
Get
He
him.
tied me up real good.
So,
No coming back from this one.
so this plan was foiled, unfortunately, because one of the soldiers tripped while entering the church and dislocated his knee.
Ooh.
Oh my god, yeah, dog. So one of the soldiers tripped.
You gotta
while-
explain what you just react to, because this is a fucking podcast.
He's got big anime titties, and there's somebody holding the titty, and it's like the size of a beer can.
Thank
Never-
you.
Yeah. This
Tom
podcast
changed
has
his
gotten a lot-
background.
We've gotten a lot harder since Skype allowed us to change our backgrounds. And yeah, I got some anime titties behind me. It was like you fly a plane with those tits.
You could. Okay, so one
Thank you.
of the soldiers tripped while entering the church, and he dislocated his knee. And
Ooh.
which is really painful, right?
Yeah, it hurts.
But in his pocket was one raw egg. Little white
Tell
egg.
me
Did he look-
more.
Did it
Tell
look
me
like
more.
he pissed his pants?
Yeah, so the egg was meant to be thrown at Warren, signaling the soldiers or the soldier that was supposed to seize Sam and his conspirators.
So wait, someone's like, watch for the signal.
Yeah.
What's the signal? You'll know it when you see it.
Yeah, the guy's gonna get egg, dude.
What is? Just think about the off-white color of this room. Think about that.
Yeah.
That's part of the signal.
So with that signal gone and nothing but what looked like a cum-stained red pants of the soldiers that had the egg in his pocket, the operation never happened. The soldiers jeered and yelled at Warren and were eventually kicked out of the church. But if that egg had existed, the Revolutionary War would have started about 6 weeks earlier when they apprehended
My
Sam
fucking
Adams,
God.
John Hancock, and Warren.
It's amazing what an egg could do, especially when you're only eating hard-boiled eggs every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if it was hard boiled, there'd be no problem.
Well, there might be
You
a
just-
problem.
Well,
I've
He
heard
threw
more.
some shit at me.
what is
There was
that?
some white and yellow shit at me. It's like, oh, it's not egg. That's not
smells like
egg.
it.
I got hit by egg. He threw his lunch at me. When it's an uncooked egg, you know.
Yeah.
So, firstly, shouldn't have had it in his pant pocket.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. Tom,
Why
I
do you have it
keep
in his
looking.
hand?
I'm not looking
Breast
at.
pocket.
I'm not looking at you, Cody, at all anymore. I keep looking at Tom. We're looking
Oh,
past
sorry.
you.
I'll change it. I know it could be distracting. I'll
Change it to something sexier.
All right.
Find
hold on.
some deviant shit to be your Skype background.
I'm looking. Okay, Travis, you can continue. Don't.
All right, I'm sitting here on with bated
Yeah,
breath.
Tom's just looking at hentai. Leave him alone.
Yeah.
I don't even. I think this stuff is revolting, so it's kind of funny to me. So I'm
Okay.
just trying to get Travis distracted.
Oh, it's a way of life, my friend.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, well,
Hakuna
I
Matata.
live, so I don't know what that's like.
All right, so
I have a Camaro.
the Brits continued to track Sam Adams and John Hancock. And on April 15th, the two men were in Lexington to inspect in Lexington Steel. It was the first two men to enter Lexington Steel, which doesn't happen.
Really?
Yeah. So they're in Lexington, and they were there to inspect the military supplies that had been cached at nearby Concord. So, again, the British hatched a plan to ambush Sam and John Hancock at Lexington. But some of the Sons of Liberty had heard about the plan, and this is where the story of Paul Revere on his ride to warn Sam Adams and that the British were coming. So they heard about this plan, and Paul Revere's like, I gotta get on my pony and yell at people. British is coming.
British be coming.
Yeah, good, Tom.
The British are coming on that.
For the people at home, even more diabolical hentai involved now. But
Oh, Jesus. That's a butthole.
that's not even anatomically correct. The thing about the fucking what's the gauntlet that Revere rode called? Like the Midnight Ride?
Yeah.
He was only like one of 3 or 4 people
Well, yeah.
of that relay, but the thing was everyone remembers him because he was a quasi-famous silversmith.
Yep.
Right?
They wanted his silver.
So
he had done the Boston
he's a
Massacre
glory hog.
engravings and shit. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so he's kind of like a glory hog. Like there are other people that I think did a longer stretch of that midnight ride, but history can't remember their names just because they were just farmers, probably.
Well, Cody, one of them was a woman.
Mm.
Yes, that's a big thing. It's like America
There you go.
forgets the woman, but the woman did one of the midnight rides. I don't know where she went. She probably went to the mall or something, but
Probably a porn about it called Midnight Ride.
Midnight Ride. I guess that guy could run real fast.
yeah. So, as Cody mentioned, there were multiple riders sent out that night, One, for it to be a failsafe in case if someone got caught. Another way was to rally the Minutemen that we talked about, who were just coming and coming.
Love a good Minuteman.
Paul reached Lexington and told Sam and Hancock about their ambush. And Sam was like, fuck, we gotta get out of here. I gotta fucking beat it. And Hancock's like, what? Wait, isn't this what you wanted? Aren't you gonna stand here and next to your future countrymen and fight? And Sam's like, fuck no. So he convinced Hancock to let the Saps stand and fight for their freedom while they hightailed it out of Lexington.
All right.
Perfect.
And just as the two men were leaving, the British arrived. Out of sight, Sam and Hancock watched the standoff between the group of untrained Minutemen and the highly skilled professional soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
So the major leading the 70 redcoats called out to the rebels, saying, "Disperse, ye rebels, ye villains! Disperse! Disperse in the name of the king! Lay down your arms!"
And they were all like, "Why are you talking like that?"
Yeah, it's like, yo, do you bring a?
I'm not gonna leave.
So the commander of the Minutemen, Captain Parker, looked over at the redcoats and then looked back at his diaper men and was like, fuck this, dude. Everyone, you don't have to put your arms down because I know you paid for those guns, but just go home. Like, this is not worth it. We're going to get slaughtered, so what's the point? So a few men, all but a few men walked off the battlefield. Amongst the brave few were Captain Parker's cousin and a man named Prince Astabrook, who was a lone black man that was with the Lexington militia. So,
Prince Astamouth? What?
Astabrook.
Okay.
Yeah, a brook in the ass. So again, we don't know who fired the first shot. It was one of those things where, like, I don't know if the British opened fire, whatever. But while the people were walking away, shit kicked off. And the Americans got trounced. There were 8 dead and 10 injured, including Estabrook. And the British...
That's worse than a massacre.
Yeah, and the British only had 1 injured. So these Americans didn't hit a single troop that, like, with a deadly shot. Like, somebody got hit in the knee or something.
Wow. Which was deadly later.
Well, yeah. That was the first battle, and then they went on to Concord and whatever. I don't want to talk about the whole war here, because that's not what we're doing. We have other shows for that.
We got to talk about Sam Adams. Yeah,
Sam Adams ran away from the battle like a little scared little bitch. But, so Sam Adams was not really involved too much during the war. He kind of was like a shadowy... I want to say like Dick Cheney-esque figure in the Continental Congress meetings. He was there, but like kind of you don't really hear about him, you know?
No.
So he signed the Declaration of Independence, and obviously his homeboy, John Hancock, was the first to sign. Thus you get the expression, give me your John Hancock.
Was he the first, or was he the most outlandish signature?
He was the first, and he made it really big. Because John Hancock, maybe we'll go into him, but he was like a very flamboyant. He needed everything to be like, "Hey, I'm John Hancock."
Yeah, well, he set the rule. Like, he knew that. How many signers? It was 18 signers?
Yeah. Somewhere around.
Really?
18 signers.
I thought it was more than that.
No, and then, like, he knew he'd be first and be like, I'm not going to leave room for anyone else.
I hate that. I hate that fucking prick that does that.
I'm going to take up a quarter of this, knowing that I really am only entitled to about an 18 of this.
Yeah, it's like
an 18th of this.
It's like when someone passes around a birthday card at work and some asshole writes like a paragraph, so everyone needs to like sign like a tiny little thing.
Yeah.
And see your boss.
With love, George.
Yeah.
I just pass it off.
Yeah.
And then say I was in the bathroom.
Or just
if
put
anyone asks. And no one's ever asked.
Yeah.
But I've been ready for that.
So-
I'm sorry. I was in the bathroom. I didn't even know that was a card. Happy birthday, dude.
So here is the big thing about how we celebrated the past holiday wrong. So the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 2nd and passed. It was signed and passed on July 2nd.
Nice.
And maybe we'll go into it if we ever do John Adams, but John Adams was like, hey, everyone's going to remember the day July 2nd as the day. Like, they're going to celebrate it with fireworks and parties and everything on July 2nd.
Bratwurst.
But it
Which is
took,
somehow patriotic.
yeah, it took 2 days for, like, the people to really hear about it. So the 4th of July became the 4th of July. And John Adams was so butthurt that whenever he went to a 4th, he wouldn't go to 4th of July ceremonies. He would just celebrate on the 2nd. He was like,
Wow.
All right, he's a weenie too.
yeah.
Dude, we can
Called
double
Giamatti.
down. We can fucking double down and get hammered drunk bratwurst full on 2 different days.
Yeah.
I'm down.
So,
Let's do a roast mortem thing next year. July 2nd.
July 2nd. So after the war, we're going back to his cousin, Sam. After the war, Sam, he was involved in politics a lot still, because he really didn't do anything, really, besides just propaganda and politics. A few things that stances he took was that he considered New England the superior of the states and the South inferior. Because a good applaud to little Sammy boy, he was an abolitionist. Slavery had been outlawed in Massachusetts since 1780, and he had pushed the nation to outlaw the practice altogether. Obviously,
Nice.
Good guy.
yeah,
Recognize people for, people. That's a good start.
he did. Yeah, he did have black servants, which whatever.
Servants
They're
are
paid.
good,
They're paid.
They can quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 401k? Maybe.
So
Definitely not.
obviously, it took the South another 100 years because they're racist shitbags. But yeah. Also, Sam Adams wanted to improve schools. He was very much big into education. But in a kind of shady maneuver, as I mentioned, Sam burnt most of his letters and memos that he wrote during the Revolution. And
How could you not?
you'd see back in the day, people would write, whenever you wrote a letter to someone, you'd make like a receipt copy. You'd write a letter.
What?
You'd write a letter to the person, and then you'd write it again and keep it. So he burnt all of his like receipt copies.
Okay. I didn't know about this. How common was this practice, Travis?
It's fairly common amongst like rich people that could afford paper and knew how to write.
Okay. Sure.
So him burning most of these letters left him as a bit of an enigma, and it kind of was seen as him trying to cover up his propaganda he had done to instigate this war. Also, surprisingly enough, there was a thing called, have you ever heard of Shays Rebellion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't
you
know
need to
anything
remind
about
us.
it.
Yeah. So
In
Shays,
case we're fucking idiots.
yeah, Shays Rebellion happened after the war, and yeah, that's some American pornography.
Try not to react to it. You're
Shays
confusing the people.
Shays Rebellion happened after the war, and it was basically a bunch of farmers in Massachusetts rebelling against high taxes and debt collection, which was something that Sam Adams was always like, you shouldn't have to pay a lot of tax.
He's a good guy. Overall, good guy.
Yeah, so this good guy who was rebelling against that thought that the leaders of Shays Rebellion should be hanged, reportedly saying that the man who dares to rebel against the laws of the Republic ought to suffer death.
Oh, so he 180'd it.
Yeah, he's like, fuck that shit. You have a republic. If you're complaining, you die.
Oh, that's terrible.
You die now.
Yeah.
Bad news.
He was also very much against the signing of the Constitution, the document that we hold very much important.
It is pretty important.
See, he feared central government, and the Constitution gave a lot of power to centralized government. But he kind of came around after they added the Bill of Rights to the Constitution and became a reluctant supporter.
I see.
So Sam outlived his son, which sucks. His son died.
Ooh.
Little Sammy the Third, I think his name was.
Sammy's son.
Sammy's son.
No.
Sam's son.
Sam's son.
He's Korean.
Yeah. And then after that, Sam became Lieutenant Governor of Massachusetts under John Hancock. And when Hancock died, he became the governor at the age of 71, which is the oldest Massachusetts governor to date.
Isn't Mitt Romney like 70? Didn't he do a thing?
Someone's 70. Yeah, some politician.
I mean, Mitt Romney he ties his dog to the roof of his car and drives 100 miles.
He's a good guy too. I like Romney. He fucking wears underwear that expresses opinions.
All right, so y'all want to ask me a question?
How you doing today, Travis?
I'm getting a beer.
Mr. Lee, how does this forefather die?
So, this foreskin dies. All right. So, Sam Adams had always lived a plain life when it came to his family and his style. As I mentioned, he wore the same coat every day. And he would dress in the same outdated fashion, the 18th century garb, even when stuff around him was changing and it was the turn of the 19th century. People were like, look at the old colonial guy. What do you work in the reenactment? Fucking you dumb or something?
What, you fucking dumb?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've been there before.
So Sam had always said that he did not want an elaborate big funeral. He wanted just like put me in a plain Home Depot wood coffin and bury me next to my friends and family. So in 1803, at the ripe old age of 81, Sam had some difficulties breathing and croaked around his wife and friends.
Oh, the COVID got him. What the fuck?
Well, COVID.
Can't escape it.
And just a little postmortem. So he said, so no one listened to him about the plain funeral. And there was a funeral procession for him. Flags flew at half-mast. Governments, the government and businesses flew black bunting. And people were actually pissed at his wife because they said she was skimping on the cost of his plain wooden coffin. She was like, what? That's what he wanted.
Dude, fucking put me, I'm going on the record now, put me in fucking particle board.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, just.
All right, I'll do it. I'll do it for you.
And
Yes.
just the icing on the cake, 40 years later, in 1857, Adam's body was dug up and placed in a fancy ornate coffin with the engraving SA on it, and then
What are we talking,
reburied.
mahogany? Mahogany?
I think it was like
Sandalwood?
metal
What's going on?
and like craziness.
Metal.
Yeah.
I like it.
Just metal.
And that's
It's tinfoil wrapping.
Sammy Boy.
I'm so torn because I like some of the things he said, but I also know deep down inside he was just a guy wearing a coat.
Yeah.
That wasn't smart, also.
I think with the revolution, there was a lot of people that stood to gain a lot from the poor people.
Yeah.
I think Sam was like the person that was like the in-between man. He was there like talking to the poor people, but then also starving them.
Wow. So rude.
Yeah.
Rude. That's the word I would use. Rude.
I would say he's like a lasagna boy, but you took out the pasta. So it's just a bunch of sauce.
That's a really good way of putting it. I think it's really articulate.
Yeah.
Pasta man.
Pasta boy.
Pasta boy. Cody, you have any
I love
final
it.
thoughts on Sam Adams? Not so much the beer.
I want to know what fucking PR guy was just like, oh, this guy, we can totally make a beer off of this guy that never owned a brewery or a bar.
Yeah,
Just
right?
He was a Maltese.
He was a Maltese Falcon.
That was the biggest thing, because I always
It's a
thought,
Maltese pigeon.
you know,
There
there's
you go.
actually these drawings of like a young Sam Adams, and he's like holding like a pint, and he's like, you know, that they use for their logo, and it's like, dude, this is a shaky old man that like didn't like beer.
And wore patchy red coats for a patriot.
But yeah, so
I love it.
that's Sam Adams. I'd love to come back and do some more founding fathers because they're all idiots.
I like the fact that we made his character hate numbers. So, like in his grave, he'd be like, "What the fuck do you mean? I'm a forefather."
How long have I been dead? Don't answer that question. I'll get furious.
Just say many moons, like the indigenous people we hate.
Travis, thank you for doing this research. Thank you for telling me about how I've been doing America right the whole time.
By hating it.
And that's Roast Mortem.
Yeah,
There
dog.
you have it.
So I want to give a big shout out to fucking Mike and his latest kickflip series that he's been doing. Don't bust your head, Mike.
We need that.
Wait,
Yeah, we need that. Big shout out.
he's smooth?
No, we just don't want him getting dented
Oh.
because the dented is opposite of smooth.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't want to push any. I don't want any like pressure points on the smoothity.
Yeah.
We also got to call out our producer, right? I think we
Oh,
forgot
thank
to do
you for
that.
fucking reminding me. I've been drinking. Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. I wasn't here for that. Can't be blamed. But thank you, Mr. Sean Beaurain, for
Yes.
doing that big dick energy of producer tier shit.
Good guy. All of our
Yes.
Patreons, great people. Thank you very much, Sean.
Yes.
The Discord thing is fun too.
Yeah.
Make it crazy
Um,
for us. We're going to be there after the show.
Yeah, we're gonna try to make it a point to hang out there after the show a little bit more. We've done it a few times, but yeah, if you're on the Patreon and you're listening to this and you haven't got a Discord invite, let us change that for you.
Yeah,
if
we'll
you
fix
are-
that.
We typically do Sunday nights. Just we're done around 11:30 Eastern time. So if you do want to hang out and you have that half hour or so that we're gonna shoot shit, please hang out with us.
I will
Shoot
post
shit with us.
I'll post digital Panda Express coupons for everyone that's in.
Not necessarily valid coupons.
Yeah, they'll just be coupons because everyone should be eating Panda Express exclusively at your local Panda Express.
Did you get a sponsorship deal and you're not telling
Dude,
us?
I've been sponsored from Panda Express since I was a child.
We got to stop this, Cody.
I used to play softball and baseball, and everyone was wearing like a local business, and I would have Panda Express on my shirt
But they
because I
didn't-
was
They didn't buy your
sponsored.
jersey. You just
Yeah, they did.
you just had a napkin on you that was stapled. All right, thank you.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Travis,
Love
for
you.
everything. Love everyone for listening. Thank you.
Everyone,
Danky.
PandaExpress.com.
Danky
where you
Shane.
can get alligator legs for only $7.50 a leg at PandaExpress.com.